Hi, my name is Araidasa, and today I am going to talk about and take a deep look of one of the most important, complex, and fascinating regions about our body, that is the pelvis. Um, this is the volume 3, the trunk, the musculoskeletal structures of the pelvis. My name is Araidasa, and today we are going to do the video about English 3. So, the next one. This structure acts like a bridge between the trunk and the lower limbs. It supports also the body weight when we standing, walking, running, sitting, and protects like the key organs of our body, like the heart, and also the urination, defecation, and reproduction organs that are vital of our life. The pelvis also plays like a fundamental biomechanical role that transmit the forces between the upper body and the legs, maintaining the stability and the balance. So let's take an example. So for example, I want to ride a bike in the in a morning. So I need this structure that is the pelvis for maintain the stability between my legs and also the trunk when I ride the bike, because this allows me to go to a different places and maintain the like the direction and also the movement. So in this part of the introduction, I want to give you the basis about this topic, and I want that you explore more about this region. So, in the next images, videos, and explications, I am going to show you the different components of the pelvis, like the bones, muscles, ligaments, arteries, veins, and also the nerves. So, let's start and see the functions and the clinical relevance of this important part. These are the bony pelvis structures. In this part are the lower parts of the bony pelvis with the ligaments that are the base structure of our body because sustain all the weight of our different parts, organs, and also our head. So let's see the next image. In this part, we can see the upper parts of the bony pelvis that are the two hip bones, the right and the left, that we can see in the like a butterfly in the upper part. So then we have the sacrum that is like a triangle, and the coccyx that is in the last part, like a little triangle in the last part that are so important for our stability. In this video, we can see the two hip bones, and the bone is divided in different parts. That is the ilion, the ischium, and also the pubis. In the next, um, in the next image and videos, we can see in more specific. So, so here we can see that each hip bone is made of three fused parts, like I say in the last image. The first one is the ilium. The ilium we can see in this part in the video of the left part. In this case, this. Um, is the broad and the upper portion forms the iliac crest that is so important because sustain the different muscles and also different ligaments. Then we have the ischium which bears the body weight when we sitting, so it supports our weight when we sit in different places. And the pubis are the anterior portion and contributes to the pubic symphysis that we can see. The pubic symphysis is like the line between the pubic part of the two forms, or the two ischium and ilium parts in the center, like this, in a line in the center. And at their junction lies the acetabulum. The acetabulum is the deep socket that articulates with the femoral head. We can see in the third video that I am going to play right now. The is in this part. The acetabulum is like a little circle or hole hole in our pelvis. It articulates with the femoral head and also forming the hip joint and the coxofemoral joint that we can see in this part. This is the the hip joint, and then we are going to see the coxofemoral joint that is in the coccyx and the femurs. Then we have the sacrum. The sacrum is the fourth video that, like I see, tell you before, is like a little triangle. The sacrum is composed like five fossed vertebrae, forming like the posterior wall of the pelvis, and it transmits all the weight of the upper body to the pelvic girdle through the sacroiliac joints. Like the sacroiliac joints are like the holes situated uh, between the vertebrae to vertebrae. Yeah. Then we have the coccyx. The coccyx is the last part of the sacrum, like a little triangle. Um, and we can see or is located in the last part of the body. It consists of three or five focused rudimentary vertebrae, providing the attachment for different ligaments and muscles of the of the levator muscle, and also to the pelvis and pubic part. So now I am going to show you something important that I remembered. Then in this image we can see two pelvis, and I am going to show you the sexual difference of the pelvis. The first one is the pelvis of a female pelvis is broader and shallower, with a larger pelvic inlet and outlet facilitating the shield part. It's important when a girl is pregnant, and it allows to this does don't generate a loss, allows to do different movements to the baby when this is the childbirth. The male pelvis is the last one, is the second one, and is narrower and deeper with more heart-shaped inlet and acuted subpubic angle. Um, the sacrum in females is shorter and wider, and also have a ischial spines, are less projecting because are harder to the when the girl is pregnant, and also in different processes when we have the when we have like the menstruation on the different process like that. Only the different woman we can do. These distinctions also are clinically important for obstetrics and gynecology, as they affect the passage of the fetus during the labor of during the labor or the different process. The second part are the muscles of the pelvis. The muscles of the pelvis are organized in different several layers that form both the walls and also the floor of the pelvis. They play like a key role, supporting the posture and also the continence of the sensual and the sexual function. So, in this part, we can see the pelvic diaphragm. And the pelvic diaphragm, and like we can see in this video, is the deepest muscular layer composed of mainly of the levator ani with the three components. the pubococcygeus that we can see in the first part of the video, that support the pelvic viscera. Then we have the puborectalis, that form is linked around the rectum and is crucial for the fecal continence. And the last part are the iliococcygeus muscles that lifts and support the pelvic floor for the different movements about the labor and all their movements in the part of the woman activities. In this part, we can see the perineal muscles. The perineal is the region below the pelvic diaphragm and divide like an imaginary line the joining and the ischial tuberosities into the urogenital triangle, that is the anterior part, and the anal triangle, that is the posterior part. We can see, like in pink color, the urogenital triangle, that is the anterior part, and in like purple, is the anal triangle or the posterior. Is in the image in the middle. The muscles that are included here, we can see that are the bulbospongiaceous, that aiding in erection, ejaculation in male, and constricting the vaginal orifice in females. Then we have the ischiocavernosus, that is compressing the veins and the penis and the clitoris to maintain the erection and also the excitation. Then we have the superficial and deep transverse perineal muscles that provide the structural part and also support the perineal body. And then we have the external anal sphincter that is responsible for the voluntary control defecation and urination. This is an important part of our system because allows us to control the different movements and also the homeostasis or the different process of our body. Here we have the other classification, that is the pelvic wall muscles. Um, Here we have the obturator internus, that are the lines of the lateral wall that exits through the lesser sciatic foramen and laterally to rotates to the thigh. Then we have the piriformis that we can see in the upper part of the image, like little lines that originates to the sacrum and exists through the greater sciatic foramen and also rotates to the thigh laterally. I here we I put the thigh and the movement that this part allows to do. Together, they shape the lateral walls of and provide the pathways for important nerves and bases in this part of the regions. Then we have the most important muscles about when we talk about the stability, that are the gluteal muscles. Um, the gluteal muscles divide in the maximus medius and minimus muscle. Acts like at a main extensors and abductors of the hip, and also they are essential for walking, climbing, and also maintain the upright posture in the different movements in our body. So here we have the third part, that are the ligaments of the pelvis. The pelvis is stabilized by a complex network of ligaments. The first one are the anterior and posterior sacroiliac ligaments. We can see in this video the anterior and posterior, that are which secure the sacrum to the ilium. Then we have the sacrospinosus ligament that we can see in this part, like is from the sacrum to the ischial spine and is forming the greater sciatic foramen that we can see in the first video of the left part. Then we have the sacrotuberous ligament that is located in the second video with the inguinal ligament. The sacrotuberous ligament is from the sacrum to the ischial tuberosity, forming the lesser sciatic foramen. And then we have the inguinal ligament that is formed from the anterior superior iliac spine to the pubic tubercle, making like the boundary between the abdomen and the thigh. That is like the circle, the black circle. This is the pubic tubercle and the boundary between the abdomen and the thigh. We can see in this part. Then we have the pubic ligaments. The pubic ligaments are the superior and inferior, and they strengthen the pubic symphysis that is in like light blue color in the medium, like it's like the line that I showed you before. That is like this. And these ligaments prevent the excessive movements of the sacrum and maintain the pelvic stability between the during the locomotion. Um, this is important also because allows us to do different strong movements like running with with a lot level with a level elevated, but it allows to do different movements that prevent um, uh, different problems in our structure, our bony structure in our body. The fourth part are the arteries of the pelvis. In this video, we can see the two parts. The internal iliac artery is the main artery located in our pelvis that we can see in the right part. The division are the anterior division that supplies most the pelvic viscera, like the umbilical artery, that is superior vesical arteries to the bladder. We can see the inferior vesical artery that is in males, or the uterine and vaginal arteries that are in females. Eh, Middle and rectal artery are to the rectum, and the obturator artery is to the medial thigh. We can see in this video the vesical artery and the uterine and vaginal arteries. Then the middle rector and the obturator artery to the medial side. The internal pudendal artery exists in the pelvis and supplies the perineum and the external genitalia. In the other video, that is the first one, we can see the posterior division that it supplies the blood to the pelvic walls and also to the gluteal region. We have the iliolumbar artery, that is the first one that we can see in this moment, to the posterior abdominal wall, then the lateral sacral artery that are located to the sacrum and the spinal meninges, and the superior gluteal artery that is the largest branch of the um, aorta, and passing through the greater sciatic foramen to supply the blood to the gluteal muscles and also to the leg muscles. In the image of the center, we can see in the upper part the gonadal artery that is the most important to the vesical and also the uterine arteries, and also the most important is the aorta and the umbilical artery that when we can use, and the internal pudendal artery are located in the reproductory organs or structures in our body, sexual parts. So now we have the veins of the pelvis. The venous drainage parallels the arteries. The internal iliac vein collects the blood from pelvic organs and joints and the external iliac vein to form the common iliac vein, which drains into the inferior vena cava that we can see here. Then we have the extensive venous plexuses. Plexuses surround each pelvic organ. The prostatic venous plexus is in males, the uterovaginal plexus in females, the vesical and rectal plexus, ensuring efficient the drainage. And then we have the interconnections can also serve as a pathways for infection or metastasis, especially in pelvic cancers or tumors. Then we have the renal veins that we can see in the image of the left part in the draw. The renal veins are in the level of L2. The hepatic veins, they carry the blood already preprocessed of in the liver. The gonadal veins, the testicular and the ovarian, drain into the reproductive organs. And also, here I want to tell you a fun fact about this part. The blood from the digestive organs doesn't go straight to the cava. Instead, it first passes through the liver via to the portal vein and also only then through the hepatic veins connect to the general circulation and then we have to the different organs. And finally, we have the last part that are the nerves of the pelvis. The pelvic innervation includes both somatic and autonomic components. The first is the sacral plexus that is located inter to L4 and S4. Provides the motor and sensory supply to the lower limb and the perineum, and the major branches include the sciatic nerve, that is this one in the video, the sciatic nerve, that is the largest in the body, exciting through the greater sciatic foramen. Then we have the superior and inferior gluteal nerves to the gluteal muscles. Then we have the posterior and femoral cutaneous nerve toward the skin sensation, and the pudendal nerve, that is the principal nerve to the perineum. Then we have the in this part the pudendal nerve in these videos. In those videos, we can see also the pudendal nerve and in the sciatic part. In the pudendal nerve, that is the second one, carries the sensory the sensory fibers um, from the external genitalia and the motor fibers, and also for the sphincters and the urethra and the anus, and is often called like the nerve of the continence. Then we have the autonomic plexus that is in the center of the screen and is in the inferior in the hypoglossal plexus and containing the sympathetic and parasympathetic fibers that regulate the voluntary and the involuntary pelvic functions like the urination, defecation, erection, and ejaculation in males. We can see that in conclusion, the pelvis is not just like a bony, right? It's dynamic and have a living system that unites the strength, movement, and protection of the bones and the parts of this part or this region form the sturdy base. Its muscles provides the control and stability, the ligaments ensure the resilience, the vessels maintain the circulation, and the nerves integrate the voluntary and involuntary functions. So it's like a foundation of posture, motion and lifestyle. It's like an anatomical core of the human body. So thank you for see my video and take over you.